Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We have a jam-packed, fun-filled episode for y'all tonight. Trust and believe you are going to enjoy this one. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, share, and tell any and everybody about this podcast. We're trying to be here for a good time and a long time. I'm your host, Tone, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, my brothers, Miles and Greg. How y'all fellas doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good, man. Doing real good. I'm not as nervous as Knicks fans right now, but I don't got the anxiety. I don't got bubble guts.
What's
I know Miles emptied out a whole tub of Tums before the episode because of his anxiety.
I'm not nervous.
You better win tomorrow. You lose, this shit. It's not gonna go well.
All right, man.
Get the job done.
Y'all tell me what y'all want. Tell me what y'all want to do. Tell me how you want it. How are we starting off this episode, man? Where do y'all want to start? Like, it's a bunch to talk about. We're going to change it up. Y'all tell me where you want to start this episode at.
I think you got to start with the
lottery,
the debacle of the lottery and that bull, what we saw with Dallas getting the number one overall pick. And to me, it's as simple as I understand why you put a lottery in place in the first place. I understand what the logic of it is, and why you want to dissuade teams from doing what the Sixers did, where you have the blatant tank and you call it the process and you market it to your fans. But the reality is, the lottery is so counterproductive at the same time, because what you create by leaving this all up to chance and some ping pong balls, at least that's what you tell us anyways, is an imbalance of power in the NBA. So like if a great team has injuries one year, like Dallas or Philly, right? Teams that we thought were going to contend for championships, they can luck their way into into a top pick in the draft, or a top 3 pick in the draft, if they, just so happen to own their first round pick and don't have any protections on it or whatever. It's insane. It's insane to me. And you look at the NBA, and we're suffering for it. The product is suffering. The Eastern Conference is barren of talent. It was in a bad place outside of Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell and Giannis, who may not even be on the Eastern Conference anymore when it's all said and done. You look at the star power in the East, and it lacks. The product lacks. And then you're going to start to hear them talk about, oh, well, maybe we'll just go conference-less for the playoffs, right? That's the next thing they're going to say, because they're not getting rid of the lottery. They're going to be tell you, oh, we're going to go conference-less because our Eastern Conference playoff ratings are lower, because people don't care about watching Halliburton as much as they care about watching, I don't know, Luka or LeBron or Shea or Jokic on the other side. No shot at Halliburton. Probably wasn't very fair of me, but you get the point. Like, it's just, it's not enough competition that's equally spread out throughout the league. It's not about there being a scarcity of talented players. It's about the way we're going about spreading that talent around the league. And the lottery is a big part of the problem. Free agency already makes it tough on these small market teams as it is. You got to think about it. You're not going to go play for Washington. You're not going to go play in Utah willingly. You're not moving your family to these areas willingly. You're not doing that. And amongst other places, OKC, so on and so forth. So now, on top of us having a hard time getting free agents, you're telling me that if I'm really, really bad, I'm not guaranteed a top 5 pick. I'm not guaranteed a top 3 pick. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's really unserious, if we're being honest. The fact that Cooper Flagg is going to end up playing in Dallas with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. That team didn't need any help. We didn't even see what that iteration of the team looked like because everyone got hurt. We didn't even see Kyrie and AD get on the floor together outside of one game. Right? Or not even one game. I think Kyrie might have been hurt before. Like, so my point exactly, right? So you gotta look at it in its totality, and the fact that it has in the league to really understand how stupid it is. And the NFL got it right. I mean, the NFL has it done the right way, with the fact that the worst team, right, outside of tiebreakers, the worst team is going to get the number 1 overall pick in each and every single draft year. And eventually, you do that enough times, right? Like the worst team, like, I don't know, you think about the Jaguars, they eventually found a quarterback after not having one for most of my life, and Trevor Lawrence. You know what I mean? Like, it's cyclical. You're going to get your guy eventually because you're going to have enough at bats at a top 3 pick, a top 2 pick, whatever it may be, top 5. But it's not working that way in the NBA. So you're just doomed to being bad. You know what I mean? So I had the initial thought that it was rigged when they announced the fact that Dallas got the number 1 overall pick. And if you look at it and you look at the trend, every time a team trades away a superstar player, whether it was New Orleans with Chris Paul or Luka with Dallas getting traded, and so on and so forth, right? There's a lot of other examples. Anthony Davis with New Orleans. The year it happens, that summer, they get the number 1 overall pick in the lottery. It's happened 3 times in our lifetime. And LeBron's even hinted at the lottery being rigged, right? We all know about the Knicks scandal with Ewing, and them pulling that card a few years ago, right? And what everyone says about that and the envelope and all that nonsense. So the NBA thrives on drama and people thinking that it's rigged and people coming up with all these conspiracy theories and the intrigue and all the conversation. They love it. They think it drives the product. But honestly, it hurts the product, in my opinion, in this case, because what are we doing in the Eastern Conference here? Like, where is the star power in the Eastern Conference? It's a joke. It's a cakewalk. Look at the playoff run that the Pacers have had. With Giannis getting hurt and Dame getting hurt, and then they go play this series here against Cleveland, and all those guys get hurt. I know it seems like it's not correlated, but it is. There's just not enough star power, not enough intrigue, and so that's really where I'm coming from with it. I just think it's bad for the sport, and it's unfortunate because it's not going anywhere.
Miles, there's been conversation, and we'll get to that because Adam Schefter was one of the main people saying that the NFL should implement the NBA's draft lottery. Should the NBA actually try to implement how the NFL has it set up where the worst team actually gets that number 1 overall pick?
I really think this only works for the NBA. For the NFL, I don't think it would work. I think, sure, you could try to discourage tanking and all that stuff by making it a lottery for the NFL, but at the end of the day, I just don't think it'll end up working out too well. So yeah, I don't know. It's a real interesting dilemma that the NFL would have if they even think about doing that. It would be more interesting, like you'd be able to sit down one February afternoon or evening and wait to see if your team could possibly win the number 1 pick. And hey, who knows? It could make the NFL more competitive, and teams, they tank. Teams in the NFL do tank to get a top pick so they can get a top quarterback. But I don't know. I think it works for the NBA, but it's not going to work for every sport.
You think the NBA should adopt what the NFL is doing?
With the best or the worst team getting the number 1 pick?
Yes, sir.
I kind of feel like it was sort of like that before, but in a different way of the worst team gets the best odds to get the number 1 pick. I don't know. I don't want to see great college players end up on one terrible Hornets team or the Wizards, and they stack up like that. I don't want to see that. I want to see these guys go to good teams.
So you have no problem with the way things are right now, then basically. That's what I'm hearing you say.
I'm cool with it, honestly.
Well, I couldn't.
Look, as a Nets fan, I understand.
No, it's not that. Okay. You see, it's not that. It's not about the Nets, because the Nets are going to be fine either way, because the Nets have the luxury of playing in a big market, and they have an appealing situation where stars have gone before this precedent. So someone else is going to come play for the Nets down the line. I'm not worried about that. No Nets fan should really be worried. I'm not the Wizards. I'm not Detroit, even though Detroit's on the up and up. I'm not Detroit. I'm not these places where people will never think about moving to in their wildest nightmare. I'm not living in Utah. I'm not Washington's not bad, but like ain't nobody want to go play for Washington. They got an ugly jersey. It's a desperate of a rebrand over there. It's gross. It ain't been right since Gil walked in there, guns blazing. It's a bad. The point is you need to spread the talent around the league. Like you need to revitalize the Washington D.C. market, for example. That's a big time city, and it is technically a big market that we don't ever see talent going to. How do you get that to happen? It's not happening through free agency. It's not happening because their GM is smart enough and shrewd enough to make the team good through a bunch of savvy moves and acquisitions. That's not happening. They're inept. You need to help them out by getting them, throwing a bone every now and then, and allowing that team to get the number one pick. And that's not rigging the lottery for them. That's making sure you give the number one pick to the worst team. If I'm saying that doesn't directly benefit the Nets because the Nets were too good, right? Jordy won too many games. This is me talking about the health of the NBA, the league. It's bad. When Cooper Flagg goes to Dallas, that's bad for the NBA. They didn't need it adds intrigue. Sure, we'll watch them. I mean, sure, but we're gonna watch the late night slot of games. What about the early ones? What about when Washington goes and plays the Hornets, or you know what I mean? Or Washington goes to play Miami. Miami's into something in a situation where it feels like they're headed to a place where it's gonna be pretty desolate, but they're a destination. They'll be fine. Miami and Brooklyn, those two places will be fine. It'll balance out because those are places people want to go. But you need to spread the talent. The Bull, who's going to Chicago on a free agency deal now? Like really, what star wants to go there, right? I thought D Wade was the last star I remember, and he wasn't a star anymore because he had Meg Thee Stallion's knees at that point. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. So I just. It's important that we understand what the negative effect is of the lottery on the NBA, and this is a case study, right? This is a case study in my opinion. All right, the Spurs are about to get Dylan Harper after literally getting top 5 picks in the last 3 or 4 years, maybe even more than that. They got Wembanyama, got a Castle, they traded for De'Aaron Fox. Like they're loaded, and they're about to land Dylan Harper. Okay, cool. The Spurs being good again is great for the league, great fan base. Not the point. Like Dylan Harper should be in Washington. Dylan Harper should be in Utah. I don't wish that on him. I'm sorry, but it's just the reality. He should be in those cities, and they should revitalize those markets. It just makes sense. Think about the NFL. Like it's the way it works, right? The Browns, how'd they get good? They didn't get good because people said, "Oh, you know where I want to live? Cleveland." That's not what happened. Year after year they got at bats to the top of the draft, and they kept acquiring talent, and now they have a great defense in place. Now they have a good offensive pieces, a great offensive line. It didn't happen because fools want to say, "Oh, I want to go live in Akron, Ohio." Like that's not what happened. So I don't want to live next to a steel mill. Like it happened because these fools, this is the way. That is perfect the way the NFL has it set up. You make sure the worst teams get better, and they get better for their troubles, and also you reward the fan bases. Let's not forget that part. How many angry fans are there? These fans are going to tune out. They're going to tune out of this thing. Their team has no chance year to year. You can't incentivize tanking, and we can't sign free agents. What am I watching this team for? So at some point, these billionaire owners are going to get upset because now the TV deal they sign, they're not going to want to re-up with them on the TV deal because guess what? Ain't nobody watching your games because you guys suck. I'm not turning the game on to watch Bub Carrington, good player. Not the point. I'm not turning the game on to watch Jordan Poole jack up 40-foot shots, and we have no chance of doing anything. I'm not turning my TV on to watch Kyle Kuzma. You feel me? Like that's Milwaukee. Milwaukee has no chance of landing a player like Giannis in their wildest dreams under a lottery system. Not really. It happened for them. Great. It was lightning in a bottle. So to me, I think it's so flawed, and the NBA needs to really rectify the situation and get rid of the lottery because I don't care if teams blatantly try to tank. Who cares? You're going to lose anyways. Who cares? This is not about the integrity of the game. It's not about that, man. Like teams still tank. Utah still goes out there and tanks. Danny Ainge is still acquiring draft picks to tank. You're not stopping tanking with the lottery. It's a bunch of crap. You know what I'm saying? And we end up with this unbalanced product because of it.
I mean, I feel like you're expecting too much at this point from them changing the lottery because sure, there's going to be maybe like 2 or 3 can't miss possible prospects in the draft. Like who is it in this one? Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg.
There's more than
then it comes down to scouting. Like, there's so many other guys that get drafted outside the lottery, even back end of the lottery, that probably if you do a redraft years later, they should have gone higher. So I think if these organizations bring in better scouts, like what the Wizards did last year with their draft, very good. Sure, you can look at it and say that none of those guys are big names.
It's not that.
How do they
Any
get
of those
there?
guys change their franchise.
As a rookie,
It is a flawed system when Dallas, who already has Hall of Famers on their roster, gets a franchise-changing player, and they just so happen to get it the year that they do the dumbest transaction in sports history. They happen to get Cooper Flagg on their team. That's a problem. It's bad. It's bad for the integrity of the game. It's ironic. You want to protect the integrity of the game by putting a lottery system in place so teams don't openly tank in people's face and play in people's face. But then at the same time, we have this situation unfold before our very eyes. And what are we supposed to think? That this is on the up and up and just honest, and that this is, like there was no deal beforehand? It looks bad. And especially when there's a pattern, like I just outlined. There's a pattern. When teams trade superstars, they usually get the number one pick in the lottery the same year. It's happened three times that I can remember in the last decade. So it's a bad look. It's just a bad, and that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a bad look. I'm not expecting them to change it. Like I said, I think they thrive off of this. They think that this is good, right? People in the front offices, and not front offices, but in the NBA front office think this is a good thing. And it's not. It's not, because the product suffers. Like LaMelo is going to end up walking. I don't know. He might leave the Hornets, right? Or the Hornets might trade him. The Hawks. They're going to dump Trae Young. They're going to dump Trae Young and then do what after that? Sell me on what? Until they get lucky enough to get number one pick again or get a franchise-changing player if they draft well. Okay, you could draft well. Miles, you make a great point. All right, at pick number 8 in this class, you could get great players. Yes, you could. I'm with you. But it's about getting a franchise-altering player, and that player that on impact, once they arrive, everything changes. Cleveland was dog doo-doo before LeBron walked through the door. It changed everything for that franchise, right? How many so if I'm really bad, my reward is nothing. It's just like, I got a draft well in the back of the back of the lottery. When I won 10 games, when I won 7 games with my fans through misery, and people were showing up with paper bags over their heads.
Nobody's saying this, like, it's not fair to some teams because they're like, damn, I'm stuck in this never-ending cycle of we stink and we get, let's say, the 5th pick, like the Pistons the last couple of years. They were awful, and they kept getting the 5th pick every year. But it happens. You're not going to be able to change this unless, like you said, you make the change and eliminate the lottery, and then the worst team gets it. But then at that point, you're not stopping tanking. These guys teams are just going to suck, and now the product is even worse.
But eventually to get better, because there's so much talent in basketball now. Eventually, those teams that are tanking year to year they're going to get a generational player in the building that's going to attract other stars to come play with them. Or they're good players and make the team passable. It's just going to happen over time. So it just kind of takes care of itself. It works in the NFL, and they have 50-something roster spots to fill. You got to think about the math game. There's like 16 roster spots in the NBA team. We're like 12, anywhere from 12 to 16 regular season spots. You're going to fill that up faster. It's just going to happen faster over the years if you continually tank. Okay, fine. Who cares if the teams tank? You wasn't watching Utah anyways. So let's not act like we care about the fact that they're tanking. No one cares. And those guys still going to go out there and play hard. You know what I mean? Like Isaiah Collier is still going to go out there and play hard. Even if there is a mandate to tank, they might bench guys who are good. All right, so what? We ain't paying attention to them. No way. It doesn't matter. But you know what'd be cool? And I actually don't care about Utah at all. To be honest, this is disingenuous on my part. Openly, I'm saying that. But the reality is, it'd be cool if a star was in Washington. It'd be cool if a franchise-altering star was in Washington. It'd be cool if Dylan Harper was, I don't know, name another really bad team in the NBA. I don't know. Like there's a bunch. I don't know. You can go down
Chicago, Sacramento.
Could you imagine Chicago getting revitalized with like a Dylan Harper being their star, their cornerstone franchise player in
Kings.
Chicago? The Kings, right? Who have a great fan base over there. and then I haven't been dormant. They haven't been bad that long, but
All
still,
these teams have made bad moves. Like the Jazz got rid of Donovan Mitchell. Sure, he was going to leave at some point. You got to capitalize on that. The Kings traded away Tyrese before he became Tyrese. All these guys make moves where they're not thinking ahead. They're trying to capitalize on what the guy is at that point, and maybe these picks turn out to be something in the future. I mean, if you want stars, you got to try to keep your stars.
Here's what I'm gonna say about that. Here's what I'm gonna say about this. You see, I agree with you, but you gotta think about it this way too. This can work on the inverse. Nothing is simple. Nothing is black and white. And what I mean by that is, okay, so Philly, they go through injuries early in the year. Paul George ain't right. Embiid, he's too heavy. He can't play. All right, cool. Then so McCain goes down. George came back, and I'm pretty sure they shut him down. It wasn't that he got re-injured. They shut him down because they wanted to tank and give themselves more ping pong balls. So no matter what, you're still getting tanking, and you got to think about it this way too. Like, so now we're getting tanking, like reverse tanking almost from really good teams who happen to fall on bad times during a year, and now they have a chance to get a franchise-altering player. The Phillies are picking at 3 in this class with Tyrese Maxey, Embiid on their roster already, and Paul George. They're going to pick at 3 and get a cornerstone level player in a great draft, and that's fair. But Washington, who's been bad for our whole lives, essentially, outside of the John Wall years, and they weren't really good even then. They were fake good. Like, bro, like that's crazy. That is flawed. That is flawed, regardless of the moves that your franchise. It's not about the moves. It's not about punishing the GMs. It's not about really hyperanalyzing the moves that they've made, punishing them. It's about it's about the fans and rewarding the fans for being loyal to their teams and rewarding for being loyal to the NBA product. And the NBA is not doing that. They're not taking care of their fans with the lottery. They're not doing it. Period.
If that was the case, Zion would have been a Knick. But
why you say that? Because you guys didn't get the ping pong ball reward your way? It don't matter.
Like you said,
don't make it about
the
the
worst
Knicks.
team should get the top picks, right?
So
You're the worst team that year, and then we ended with the 3rd pick.
That's cool. You're making my point. He should have been a Knick.
Yeah, the Pelicans, they had like the 8th or 9th best odds for that. And they shot all the way up to number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair, but it's what happens with the
It really isn't fair because you ended up with RJ Barrett. That's awful. I felt bad with that.
And now we're away from the conference finals. I don't care. But RJ's in another.
Here you go. Listen, I'm just telling you that for a team like the Knicks, it doesn't really matter. Because you know what happens? A guy like Jalen Brunson signs in free agency. You want to know why? Because you play in New York in Madison Square Garden. You are a destination. Eventually, someone will come and play there. That's why I'm not stressed as a Nets fan. Someone's going to come play in New York in an untapped market in Brooklyn. It's going to happen. It's going to. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. Miami, Brooklyn, the Knicks, these teams that have been bad in the past or whatever, in Miami less so. They've been a model of consistency. But now they're headed that way. Those teams don't have to worry about this. This is about the super bottom of the barrel. This is about the Indiana Pacers. This is about Oklahoma City. This is about, I don't know, name your other, the Kings, places where guys don't go. This system is not made for those guys to ever get truly better unless they are GMing their behinds off, which is fine. But like it's like playing the game on Hall of Fame. Everybody says, wow, we're in Brooklyn playing it on All-American. It's just easier. It's just easier. So I don't know, man. I just think this needs some correction. That's all I'm saying. And if they want to do that, it's fine. But let's face it, man. Like all the talent's in one place, and it's tough for us to deal with.
Looking at staying in that conversation with the draft, right? So Cooper Flagg now is going to be drafted, as we all know and have said, with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. What's the ceiling for him now, being that he's going to a championship contending team? And it's not like we're going to see probably the full arsenal of a Cooper Flagg when you're joining Hall of Famers and Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving.
I mean, I think he's going to be good off the bat. His game, it's not predicated on just volume, shooting, and all that stuff. He can make plays within the scheme of the offense. Like at Duke, there were games where you think he's not impactful. He's got like 12 points, but Then he's got 5 blocks, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Like, he's going to make an impact on the Mavericks. And this is what Nico wanted. He wanted a guy who could be like the face of the franchise, but he plays defense. He's committed to that side of the ball, not just when the ball is in his hand. So could he be Rookie of the Year? Maybe not, because you got Kyrie. Well, Kyrie might be out most of next year, but you still have AD and all that. So maybe not. I could see Dylan Harper, depending on where he goes. I mean, if the Spurs take him, which they should if they don't trade the pick, that could be one of the Rookie of the Years right there.
Hey, speaking of Harp, right? I want to ask you, Greg, and of course you could chime in, of course, on what you, how do you think the Mavs would utilize even Cooper Flagg this season coming up? With Dylan Harper, the Spurs had the number 2 pick, and it's obvious. We've been saying for months, every scout has been saying for months, it's Cooper Flagg, then it's Dylan Harper. Specifically with Dylan Harper, the Spurs already have on the roster Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, I don't think anybody would say that he's better than De'Aaron Fox today. But would you think that today he is better than Stephon Castle and you move Castle, or do you just try to go with a 3-guard rotation?
I can tell you they're not going to move Castle. The Spurs are just historically a conservative franchise. They really are. And they've had some great luck with the draft lottery working out in their favor, right? Getting the number 1 pick twice in a row, right? With Tim Duncan, and then obviously you got Tim Duncan and you got Robinson there, right? As well. So to me, you look at that situation there. They're going to go 3 guards, or they're going to trade for Giannis. It's one of the 2 things. I don't think there's any other way about it, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, in this class, there are players so good that you're not trading out of the pick unless it's like an anomaly happens, right? And for that team to be in a position to take that player, a cornerstone level player, when you got Wembanyama already and you hit the lottery before, is crazy. It's crazy, right? But the lottery everyone's so fond of, I guess, at work. But I like I said, I think they'll go 3 guards. I don't like the fit of it, to be quite honest, because I don't think that De'Aaron Fox. In fact, here's the problem with it. De'Aaron Fox is not a knockdown shooter off the ball. He's not a catch and shoot guy, and Dylan Harper isn't either. They're both on ball guards who have to play downhill, like playing off screens. That's how they're both most effective. Castle, I think, can fit in just doing about anything, slashing off ball. I'm actually less worried about him. It's about those 2 guys playing together. That's like mixing oil and water, because they both do pretty much the same thing. They just do it in different ways. Fox is really fast, and he snakes, and Harper is more methodical and uses his size and has floaters and plays in the middle of the floor and makes good decisions. And so does De'Aaron, but they go about it 2 different ways. But they both have one thing in common: they need the ball, and there's only 1 basketball. So I don't like this idea of 2 guards. And I think that as we get closer to the draft, I think you'll start to hear some rumors about the pick eventually being up for sale, but only for Giannis. I think they'll stay pat and make the pick, maybe if it comes down to it. But I don't like the basketball fit of it. I don't. I'd be curious to see if there are other trade offers they'd listen to, but I just don't think it's going to go that way. And when you hear these insiders talk about the second pick in this draft, they all say, "Oh, it's 99.9% that it's going to be Dylan Harper. He's going second." But they don't say that it's definitively going to be the Spurs picking there, right? So there's some smoke around it, and it's because of the basketball fit. It's just obviously not ideal. It's not an ideal situation for him to thrive in. And it kind of goes back to Cooper Flagg. It's the same thing. That's not ideal for him, believe it or not. He can play and thrive in that system, but his game will be muzzled, and he's not. You grow by having opportunity, by being the guy night to night. That's how you grow in this league. That's how you grow as a potential franchise player. You don't grow being someone's Robin. And in this case, he ain't even Robin, right? He's not even that. Being there, he's a 3rd option. Some nights he'll be the fourth option if Clay's got it going, and he's fine with that because he's a winner. But it's not ideal for the growth of the player if we're talking about what he can be long term. I look at Cooper Flagg as he's a jack of all trades but master of none. There's nothing he does phenomenally on the court. He's just good to above average on about everything he does out there for the most part. That's what makes him special. And his athleticism is special. I think he is a very athletic player. That's legit as well. But it's hard to project him. It really is. I think if he's a great defensive player, which he could be, that raises his ceiling. But I have a hard time. I see a lot of Siakam when I watch him, to be quite honest. And I know we've talked about the tone. That's you. That's out of your book. But when I watch him, I really do see that. I see that kind of build. I heard Kawhi Leonard at one point this year. I don't know about that. I don't think that the mid-range game is that deadly. He could grow into that, but I don't even think his mechanics like kind of lend to him being that level of shooter at any point in his career. I think he's going to be more of a Siakam, and that's still a great player and still worthy of some hype. But is he going to live up to the hype he has now? I don't know. And also, I'll say this too: people should lay off Stephen A. Smith, and I don't say this often because I don't like him, but lay off him for saying that you have an opportunity to draft a star player who's white, and you're not going to pass that up if you're the Mavericks. He's right. Okay, like drafting a potential white superstar in the NBA, white American-born superstar, is a gold mine. People are going to eat that up. They love their white America loves white American-born superstars. Larry Bird himself. Christian, look at the hype Christian Laettner had, right? And he wasn't this player, like he wasn't Cooper Flagg, he wasn't this prospect, right? So it's a fact. He wasn't wrong. He just, delivered it the way Stephen A. only can.
Looking at the third pick, because as we mentioned, the 76ers is a very good team as well, to have a very high pick: Jared McCain, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. The list goes on and on. Yabusele, like they have a pretty solid roster. As is Ace Bailey the right fit for them at 3, or do they go elsewhere?
I like Edgecombe from Baylor. Like I feel like between those two, sure, Ace Bailey's got the highest ceiling, probably right behind Cooper Flagg in the draft, but the lowest floor, just because. I mean, like he said in the combine, he practices these tough shots. So, I mean, he works on it, but that's not going to work every time in the NBA. So, VJ, I think he could be a really good two guard in the NBA, and the defense is legit for him. So you add that to Philly, along with Jared McCain coming back, and I mean, of course, you got Paul George and Maxey and all that. You got something to work with there. I mean, Ace Bailey is it's a gamble, but is it a gamble that Philly should take? I don't know.
I like the pick for them. I think that's a slam dunk. I think if you have a coach that can coach him into dropping the ball to the rim and changing his shot profile a little bit, easier said than done. It's a pick that you make in your sleep. I do think there's going to be some risers in this class. So a guy like Ace could fall a little bit, but not much further than the top 5, right? I think he's going to go top 5 in this class. The tools, the shooting stroke he has, he is actually a really good shooter for his size, and he's got good mechanics. He shoots the thing well. I like him a lot as a prospect. In this class, it's just a matter of the shot profile. Like I said, like that's coaching. You can coach that out of somebody. Yes, you really can if it goes to the right place. So we'll see if Nick Nurse is the guy to do that. But I don't think they're not going to think twice. They'll probably send his name in. But we'll have one of those European risers. We'll have like the kid Igor from Igor Demon from BYU. Like he may go top 4, top 3. He'll probably go before Edgecombe. Like he's not Edgecombe isn't, and to me, he's not even in the conversation of top 5. And then you got the kid from Duke, the super athletic big who shoots the ball pretty well, who's probably going to rise too, right? There's going to be some risers in this class, man. So I'm not so sure that Edgecombe won't be available at 7 or 8. I'm not so sure that some of these guys, Fears and some of those guys we could talk about. Those guys will be there as we get into the late lottery, and that's where teams hit the money ball, right? It's the late lottery. Devin Booker, the Tyrese Maxey's, the McCains. You find your gems from pick 8 to pick 21, 22. Like you can find your guys there that can help change your franchise.
You mentioned draft risers outside of obviously Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper. Who are some of the names that y'all see that are, like you said, that back of the lottery, even back of that first round, that are some gems, some diamonds in the rough, or players that people are looking over. I'll throw a name out there that I think we're starting to see come out. And we on this podcast pointed it out when the tournament was going on and before the tournament started. Tahad Pettiford is a name that our listeners and our viewers, that's a name that you should look out for. But I'll let my fellow co-host break it down for y'all.
My only concern about Tahad is the defensive end of the floor. I think offensively he's special. I think he's special offensively. I think he is an NBA player. I think he's going to the NBA. He's not going to go back to school. I think that's done. He's going to be an NBA player. He'll be a late first round, early second round guy. He could dip into the second round, and I don't think people shouldn't be surprised if it happens. Because I do worry about his defense and who are you going to guard at the next level. And if anything, if these postseason has showed you anything, if this postseason has showed you anything, it's that guys have to play defense, especially at the guard spot. You're going to get attacked. So I'm a little worried about that. But other than that, he's a phenomenal offensive player. He's the total package from an offensive standpoint, and it merits first round consideration, just late first round, in my opinion. But some guy. I mean, there's a guy I've been looking at, Carter Bryant from Arizona. He's going to be a riser. He's gonna rise up this process. The film says it, right? Another guy who's underrated, Con Kneppel, who we all saw as playing with your boy Cooper Flagg. That kid's good, like legitimately very good. Grayson Allen, but better, because he's a better defender than Grayson Allen was in college. He's a bit stronger, right, at this stage, and he's also a better driver of the basketball, playing off 2 feet. Reminds me a lot of the Jalen Brunsons and the Mikal Bridges, the Villanova boys, with the way he plays off 2 feet all the time. He's very technically sound as a player. He's going to go to an NBA team, and he's going to impact them right away. He's going to get minutes. He's going to play. It's not going to be a long wait for him to play. Because he's so technically sound so early, and he's a winner. He plays the right way. So Con Kneppel is a guy who I don't even think I don't want to compare him like a Grayson Allen or a 3-and-D guy in the NBA, because I think his ceiling's a little bit higher than that. He could be a really good player at the next level. He's gonna be a top 10 pick in this class for sure. A guy available late in the 10s, but he could go earlier than that because he shoots the skin off the basketball. He could go at 5 or 6. It wouldn't surprise me. I think that highly of him as well. But those are two guys that people don't talk about. Jeremiah Fears, I love his game. I think he's another guy too. I won't take all the air out the room and let Miles get some names off too, but I just, those are some guys that, to me, like, those are guys that could rise in this process 100%. And the guy from Duke I mentioned, I'm not gonna sit here and try to pronounce his name. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. Number 14 on Duke. Okay.
Let me see. Like Walter Clayton, I know that I've seen he's ranked more in the 20s as far as prospects, but I mean, it was legit what he did last season. He was like a Dame Steph sort of for the national champions, and I think he's going to rise. He was good at Iona and transferred to a bigger school, and I mean, he was one of the best players in the country. He was the best player in the tournament. So teams could look at that. I know sometimes you get knocked for staying in college longer, but here, I don't think that should be the case. I think he could be like a CJ McCollum type, Dame-ish. So if that's his ceiling, then late lottery, I could see him rising to that point, maybe even towards the top 10. Derek Queen, I'm interested to see where he goes. Yeah, the skills there. I see some people comparing him to like Kevin Love as far as the weight goes, and he's got to get in shape and the skill level. But I don't know. Something about his game I'm like iffy about.
You talking about Derek Queen?
Yeah.
Because
he doesn't.
He's heavy.
We talk about he's heavy, but
like
we talk about his shot, and he only shot at like a 25% clip from 3. So, I mean, of course that'll improve. He can improve in the league. So, but he's not quick.
his size. He's heavy. Like that's the thing that concerns me about him. His physical profile. Like guys like that don't stop eating. You know, when they get to the league, like you got more money, so you can order that Raising Cane's. You can order that. You know, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I get it, but if you're going to make a living off your body, you're going to have to get more serious about your diet. And he's just heavy, and so I that's why I don't really love the idea of him going to my team at 8. You know, I'm not a big fan of it, especially when you have athletic bigs already. I don't really see the appeal. But he's certainly a guy who could rise. I mean, he could rise if he has great workouts. I just think he'll fall because of the weight. I think he's going to drop a little bit. We didn't talk about droppers. Or guys who are going to do the opposite of rise here, but he could be one of them. I certainly think that. But I hate Carter Bryant and Con Kneppel. Two guys that you have to remember their names because they're going to rise.
Now, we talk about risers and we talk about droppers. Thibs has not did a good job of rising his skill when it comes to the offensive side. We know he's a defensive wizard. That's never been in question. There's been question, and everywhere he's been is the offensive scheme that Thibs has, which typically turns out to be oftentimes a stagnant offense. So, and it's centered around one piece: Derrick Rose, Jalen Brunson. Save us. That's pretty much the offense. With the Knicks now, they're up 3-2, game 6 in MSG. Is there any concern, though, with Thibs' offensive scheme this series, next, or even if they make it to the finals, that Thibs' offensive scheme will actually hold back the Knicks from winning it all? And I agree with Stephen A. This is the best chance for the Knicks to win it in years, decades.
No, yeah, for sure. This is the best team they've had in some time, probably since like the '90s. So, and I mean, you've got a Celtics team that's a little banged up. Other teams are banged up. So yeah, I agree. This is the best chance we've had in some time. But Thibs, he's had good games and he's had some bad games. And game 5 was one of those bad games where it started off good in the first half. Things were moving, ball was moving, and all of a sudden, third quarter comes and it's almost like he froze. He couldn't make an adjustment. He didn't call timeout when he should have, when they had a run going, and didn't make any subs until basically the third quarter was over. So, coaching for him, I mean, he's always had this issue dating back to the Bulls era that sometimes he makes the right move. The offensive scheme is not really there. I mean, you have a guy as talented as Karl Anthony Towns, where sure he deserves some of the blame, but they don't run any plays for him. Like I don't really see them run plays. Period. Like it's a lot of let Jalen do it. Like he's the coach. He's the coach out there running things. And you trade for Macau for a reason. Like game 4, he was amazing. Game 5, I mean, you're kind of icing him by not getting him involved more. So it is concerning seeing that this stage of the season. I mean, I feel like I say this every week. At this stage of the season, that you're still having these questions come up with your head coach as far as them being ready offensively. Like after every loss, you always hear sense of urgency. I mean, what is he saying in the huddles? That's what I question. Is he telling them just, oh, let's go, guys, let's go, keep it? Or is he actually like throwing out schemes and trying to say like, all right, we should do this on offense? I don't know if he's even drawing up plays. I'm sure he is, but maybe they're just not good, and they're like just disregarding what he's drawing up on the clipboard. So I do think things are going to be a little different at the Garden tomorrow night. The good thing for the Knicks is that they have Jalen Brunson, and I mean he won Clutch Player of the Year for a reason. So, but you can't just keep relying on him to save you every single time. Like you got Cat. Cat going against Luke Cornett and Al Horford, that should be barbecue chicken, as Shaq would say. But yet Luke Cornett's outplaying him. Mitchell Robinson's outplaying him. Like that, there's something wrong there. So yeah, Thibs, he's gotta take the blame for the offensive ineptitude that we've seen at times. And yeah, if they were to just blow this lead, I mean, I can't argue with people asking for his job because this team's too talented. I guarantee you, if they had a better offensive mind, maybe somebody like Kenny Atkinson here, things would be a little different. They'd actually use different rotations instead of just running out the same tired lineup every time. So
I'll throw these stats out here because I know Greg's going to chime in, that I think is actually very, very concerning. It tells the story a little bit of the Knicks offense. They're 12th in 3-pointers made in the playoffs. They're 10th in points per game, 15th in assists per game. Only one team is worse in assists per game in the playoffs, and they're 10th in offensive rating.
that's why my bad.
Yo,
That's
no,
why it's so funny that they've brought this series to the brink of what it is. Like, if anybody just watched the series, not being a fan of either team, they would say the Celtics are clearly the better team. That's so obvious. Even without Tatum, they're the better team. But you can beat teams like that if you have a good coach. Like, coaching makes up a big difference. And when you're lacking, I mean, that's when you see stats like that, where, I mean, you trade for Karl Towns to add to your 3-point shooting, and they haven't figured out how to get him going on that part of the game. Like, he's 2 for 14 in this series from 3, and he's a 40% shooter. Like, he's self-proclaimed best shooting big of all time. Like, that's a weapon that we have at our disposal, and we don't use it. But Greg, you're good. My fault.
no, letting you cook. I mean, look, I think the Knicks' offensive limitations are going to bite them in the playoffs at some point. I'm still debating on how I feel about a Pacers matchup. I think the Knicks should win that series. That's just my gut feeling. But the Pacers are playing well, and they have some belief, and they got a little bit of swagger to them right now, and that means something. And they play fast. They play really fast, and they've got some good players out there too on their side. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But my only point about this, and the only point I wanted to make, was that I think these offensive deficiencies and the fact that Thibs is outcoached on the offensive side of the ball every single night in the postseason, it just means that they're not going to win an NBA championship. When they should, and they have the pieces to get it done this year, they're not going to when they link up with a team in the West, or if they fall short against the Pacers, right? But the front office will chop it up to, hey, well, Thibs did great, took us to the conference finals. Thibs did great, took us to the NBA finals. We're keeping him. When in reality, you probably should still upgrade the position. You probably should still hire someone else, because the reality of this Pacers series, this Celtics series against the Knicks, is that the Knicks have heart and the Celtics don't. That's the reality of it. Their stars were stupid early in the series, and they lost some games by shooting them out of the game. And they don't have any heart to respond in critical moments of the games, right? The Celtics are only winning one way in the series. It's by running away and blowing them out. When the game is tight, when you need a basket, when you feel that pressure because you know you want to repeat, and you know everyone had you as the favorite, that's weighing on your minds and you're missing shots. The ball's 10 pounds heavier all of a sudden, right? Suddenly your judgment's clouded. You're making bad decisions. You turn the ball over in crunch time, right? And that's affected them. So if the Knicks can, and I keep saying this, and this is why at Thibs, I really don't like Thibs. You have to muck the game up as much as possible, make it ugly, it has to be one possession at a time. You can't let this team go on flurries and runs. And I know it's easier said than done, but you slow the game down as much as possible over the course of the game to keep it close. Because the closer it is, the later it is into the game, the higher the chances are the Knicks are going to win that basketball game. And I think I've stated the obvious here. I think Knicks fans should know this. But if they don't win tomorrow night, they're going home. They're not winning the series. They're not going to win in Boston in Game 7. It's unlikely. It's just unlikely. You're not even getting the whistle over there. It's not going to end well if you do not win that game tomorrow night. It's the biggest game in franchise history. As for the young guys, for the young folks, okay, not for the dudes that was alive to see the 1995 finals against Houston. Not for you wasn't around. You didn't see Walt Frazier play, okay. You didn't see him. It's the biggest game of your life. For the folks who are my age, it's the biggest game of your life in this franchise's history. As far as you're concerned, that's the biggest game in franchise history. Tomorrow night at the Garden, Game 6, they need to get the job done, and if they don't, you're going to look back at this with a lot of regret because you're not going to come across many better opportunities to win an NBA championship than you have right here in front of you. You'd at least want to get to the finals, and then we can talk about Thibs coming up short in the finals or rising to the moment. He ain't going to rise to the moment. It's going to be tough. The way they play offense is just not sustainable to win a championship. I don't see how it happens. But that's a whole different story. Let's get there first. How about that? Get there. Get the job done. Win tomorrow night. Win. That's it. By all means, win. And if that means you play Mitchell Robinson and bench Cat, then do it, you idiot. Don't put Cat back in the game. Oh, because Cat's getting paid more money, or because you acquired Cat in a trade, or because you don't want to deal with Cat, his representation being managed. Why would you care about that in that moment? You're trying to win a championship. You're trying to win a series. You're trying to do something special. That you just play the hot hand. You roll with the hot hand. If that's Deuce tomorrow night and Deuce is rolling, then sit Josh Hart's ass down. Do whatever it is you got to do to win the game. It's that simple. Maybe you get Mikal Bridges a couple paint touches early in the game, that little short jump shot to get him going in the game, let him feel the game. I don't know, man. They really worry me, but I think they'll win tomorrow night. I do believe they'll win. I do, but they worry me.
It's so funny because it doesn't feel like it's hard changes they need to make. Like, I feel like the numbers are there. The lineups that struggle are when you have Hart out there, and
he's shooting like dog crap.
He shot great in the last game, but of course they played like crap when he's hitting 4 or 5 threes. I was like, this sucks. Like,
was that the first game of the series where he's done that, right?
No, yeah, exactly. He doesn't. He's so hesitant to shoot, and they're literally daring him to shoot. That's why there's help on Towns. He can't get going. That's why I'd rather see Deuce out there at times. I'd rather see Mitchell Robinson out there at times. Like, some of these lineups, that's the issue with Thibs. He doesn't experiment enough like some of these other younger coaches throughout the year with different lineups to see, to get ready for the playoffs. Maybe I'll try Mitch and Cat in a lineup, or let me try Deuce out there with Brunson and Mikal and all that. He doesn't do that. And
Precious too.
Yeah, you'll see that he doesn't even change like any of the starting lineups. Josh Hart, realistically, is a bench player. He's not a starter. But because Thibs loves this guy, and I love him too, but he's a guy that should be coming off the bench. He's the spark. He gives you energy. But those opening moments where it's basically 4-on-5, if he's not hitting his jump shot, you're at a disadvantage. Like, Mitchell Robinson should be starting double big, like teams have been doing in the playoffs, and let's go. But Thibs ain't picking up my call, so he's not listening to this.
On the flip side, the Celtics, Jason Tatum, torn Achilles, 9-month recovery time. He'll be back February, March next year, 2026. You know, Jaylen Brown got that $53 million next year. Drew Holiday, $32.4 million next year. Al Horford could retire. Porzingis got one more year. $30 million on the books. Derek White has $28 million on the books. And Tatum has $54 million on the books next year. Whether they win this series or not, do you think that their championship window now is closed?
I think calling it closed is aggressive. I think they have to restructure that team and get rid of some guys. I think Drew Holiday and Al Horford are 2 guys that are going to be gone and probably not be back, because they're not going to want to let go of Derek White and how great of a player he is and that bargain of a contract, but they're going to want to shuffle some things around to create some cap flexibility. And I don't think it means that they're going to split up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that they feel like that's the heart and soul of their team. I would disagree with them on that. I think the heart and soul of their team are guys like Derek White, but that's okay. I think Kristaps Porzingis is out. I think he's a free agent anyways, but he's also like dying and something's wrong. So he's got bigger problems to solve than just basketball, and hopefully he's okay. He has one more year on his contract, Kristaps. So he's a guy that I think they're going to look to move. I don't think that he'll be back.
30 million on the books.
Yeah, no way. They're not going to bring him back because they can't even rely on him to be there, right? So I think that's another thing they'll have to look into. But yeah, they're going to have to restructure the team. They're going to make trades. They're going to have to bring in the same amount of money in return. So it's not like they're going to get more cap flexibility necessarily. But they make it a little bit. They make it a little bit of breathing room. They knew what they were doing when they went all in this year on that roster, and they paid Pritchard, which no one thought they were going to do, and they did all these things, all these aggressive financial moves. Yeah, like now it's time to pay the piper. You're going to have to, you're going to have to figure it out, and no one feels bad for them. You win a championship, but I think it's just going to be a restructure because they're going to keep that core intact with Derek White and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And so long as you have those three guys playing together, you'll have a chance to compete for a title in any given year and still be really good. It's just a matter of if you can actually beat teams. Like now you got to worry about Dallas. Now you got to worry about the Lakers. They're going to do something. They're going to do something to get better. You got to worry about these other teams, right? So it'll be interesting, but I don't. The championship window is still open, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because
what was I going to say? Brad Stevens. I mean, he's been to the Danny Ainge school of maneuvering. So I do think that he's going to figure out a way to, do a huge uphaul of this roster. Like Drew Holiday, I mean, it was great. He got us a championship. Is he a long-term piece? Probably not. KP's not. Who else? Like you said, Al Horford, he's been there for 8 years now, but he's pushing 40. So I don't think he's a big part of their future either. So if you move some of those guys and bring back some talent, he was able to get KP and shipped off Marcus Smart. So I think he's going to be able to figure out ways to make this team competitive. And like you said, the East isn't that strong. And Tatum's going to be out, I think what they say, 8-9 months. You still got Jaylen Brown. Like this team can still compete in the East, and depending on who they bring back in said deals, I mean, I don't think the window's closed. It's a little squeaky because Tatum's, banged up.
I think
all the next year, too, right?
I mean,
he'll be back. He'll be back by February, March.
Yeah,
that's the target time. That's it's no complications.
Yeah, basically he'll be out next year because if you think about it, he has to ramp up, and even when he does, the Achilles injury is you saw how Clay handled it. It takes KD. It just takes these guys time. To feel confident again. You see how mentally shaken he is talking to his dad about why me and everything, and it's legit, but.
I think he'll be fine being that one. He's 27 versus we typically see that as an older age injury. So he has that on his side. And we've talked about his shot profile though. He ain't been going to the rim or nothing like that really. So we'll just probably see even more. We'll see even more threes.
You thought it was bad before. This is gonna be like Paul George posted when he snapped his leg like a Twix bar on the damn stanchion. It's going to be the same type of thing with your boy Jason Tatum. His shot, he's going to be jacking up more shots than ever before. It's going to be horrific. He is not going to want anything to do with going to the basket. And it's ironic because he didn't get hurt going to the basket. That's not what happened. So, all food for thought, I guess.
One more we have regarding the NBA playoffs for our listeners and our viewers. Because we are going to talk about some NFL to end off the episode. Shedeur, talk about if the Saints should have drafted him. And, of course, we got to talk about that man, thick old thigh Saquon Barkley, for stuff that actually doesn't have to do with anything on the field. And in respect of the case that's going on, when I said that, no diddy with that. The Cavaliers, 64 wins. They home with us. Donovan Mitchell said he ain't get no sleep. He felt so bad. He let the city down. He listened to Coco Jones all the way home. He has made the playoffs every year in his career, but has not made it out of the second round. Twofold question looking at this. Is Donovan Mitchell an empty stats guy? And secondly, shout out to Nick Wright. Nick Wright suggested that Bron should go back to Cleveland, spin the block, help them out, and get a ring in Cleveland because it's a better chance than it is in LA.
Okay, the reason why Nick Wright feels that way is because isn't because the Lakers are doomed or anything like that. It's because the Eastern Conference sucks because of this stupid lottery system where they don't get any stars there. It all comes back full circle. So it's wide open. And if LeBron were there, the Cavs would be by far the best team in the Eastern Conference. Needless to say, he's not doing that. I'm putting that to bed early. He's not doing it. I just don't see it. I think it's Savannah and him are settled in LA. And their family's settled in LA, and their kids are on the West Coast. And Bryce will be on Arizona State, which is closer to LA than it is to. There's a lot of reasons why, right? It doesn't make any sense. But the first part of the question is about the Cavs. Is about Donovan Mitchell. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's an empty stats guy. I don't see him that way. I think he's grown a lot as an NBA player. I don't blame him for what happened this year with the Cavs. I think the Cavs had a lot of injuries to key players that put him in a bad spot. So it's unfair to hold this one against him as well. But look, it's tough when you're second best player, or on some nights your second best player is about 6 foot tall, and he's the size of your average civilian, as your average car salesman. It's going to be hard to win basketball games like in the postseason when they're allowing this level of physicality. Darius Garland's going to struggle in the postseason. And teams are going to attack him. The irony of him saying we got to attack Tyler Hero when he is built like your average quick check worker. It's not really fair for him to say that, right? And he's a hell of a basketball player. He's so skilled, but you know what I mean. This is why it's a Hod Pettiford thing. It scares me because he's the same build. He's just a regular sized human being, and that's the thing. Like you're going to get attacked, and so you got to be able to defend somebody, but. Yeah, I think it's not. I don't think it's fair to hold that against Donovan Mitchell. I don't really worry about him in the grand scheme of things with the Cavs. I think he's a piece that you keep. He's a franchise cornerstone more so than anybody else in that roster. Evan Mobley, he's continuing to get better. Okay, fine, we can have a conversation about him. But notice with him, he's 7 feet tall. This is a big man's game, a tall person's game. So a tall and strong person's game. So yeah, I don't hold this one against him. I think the Cavs will be fine. Obviously, they're not serious, but I never thought they were. I never believed in the Cavs this year. I never once came on this podcast and said, oh, my God, the Cavs, would you look at that? This is a tale all the time. A team winning a bunch of regular season games, right? They're playing hard. They're making a bunch of shots. They're shooting the ball well. Ty Jerome's talking all this trash. And we get here, and he's non-existent, right? Like it's when defenses can ramp it up on you, and you got to see Aaron Nesmith on you or whatever, and he's a dog. All right, like now what? And all that trash talk we do with Apollo and Carroll, it's gone, right? So the postseason will either make you and you'll become a star, or it'll expose you. It's like it did to Jalen Green, right? Because it's the same concept. It's not any different as well. So I don't want to take too many tangents with this, but I just think the Cavs were a flawed roster really to begin with, and never as good as everyone thought they were. And I know they got injured, and I know you can blame it on that. That's fine, but they have no heart as a group. They have no heart as a group. It's not there. They certainly don't have the heart of a champion, and that's okay because ain't none of them ever won a championship. Not one person on that roster has done it that I can think of. So
just Tristan,
Tristan, who should be at home, right? But he's there. He's a still getting checks guy. Good for him.
Hey, and on the Ty Jerome part too, which was funny again that Darius Garland said that you have a couple players on your team that teams targeted, and Ty Jerome couldn't play also because defense. Kenny Atkinson, very, very good coach, and he actually makes adjustments, and he's like, look, I can't play you, especially against this Pacers team who is leading the playoffs in assists. They share the rock. They have the highest pace. I need somebody that's going to have to play defense. And everybody got upset when Pat Bev said it, but slow feet don't eat. Ty Jerome, slow feet. He ain't eating. Real quick, Miles Grass, who you have winning that Game 7, Nuggets Thunder?
Nuggets.
Thunder, yeah.
We shall see.
In detail, we can talk about it later, but I'll go Thunder, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
So Derek,
go ahead. Go.
So Derek Carr, as we know, has retired, leaving that quarterback room in New Orleans. Tyler Show, Jake Hayner, Spencer Rattler. The Saints passed on Shedeur Sanders in the first round, the second round, twice in the third round, twice in the fourth round. They had 6 chances to get him. Will the Saints regret not drafting Shedeur Sanders?
We're doing this already?
I say no. I say they won't. A lot of teams that needed a quarterback passed on them. And whether the reasons were valid or not, I don't think that the Saints made a bad choice not taking him. Sure, Tyler Shoe, he's got traits. He's athletic. He can throw it. You take a gamble on that. But you're not putting all your eggs into that basket. I feel like if you take Shedeur, there's more pressure not to go ahead and look at the quarterbacks for next year or the year after that. You're pinned to try to make this work with this guy. And I mean, Cleveland, it's funny. They're already like asking weird questions and the pressers after minicamp and all that stuff. So I don't envy the coaches over there, the job that they have to do. But the Saints, yeah, they can stink, and then hey, maybe everything comes full circle. You know, Arch Manning played for the Saints, and maybe his grandson will play for the Saints next year too. Who knows? But the quarterbacks next year are definitely better. No need to force it. I mean, this is a first-year head coach. You don't want to, let your gun off too soon.
The simple answer is they won't regret it all, because if they're bad, unlike the stupid NBA, there's no lottery, and they'll get the instant payoff will be that they'll get a great quarterback prospect in this year's class. So you're not going to regret it no matter what Shedeur looks like. Shedeur could look like the second coming of Tom Brady, and it wouldn't matter to them. It would stink. People would make fun of you. Don't get me wrong, but you get a shot. You'll get a shot. There's self-correction in this league. Talent is spread out, it dispersed the proper way in the NFL, and you'll get a chance at Garrett Nussmeier. You'll get a chance at Arch Manning if he chooses to come out, which is not a guarantee. But whichever quarterback, right? Lenore Settlers, I don't know. You'll figure it out. Like, you're gonna get a chance to go get a guy you think you believe in, and give it a go, right? And so that's the way this thing goes. But as far as sitting there and regretting it, you're asking the question's being asked too early. Will you regret it over a period of time? Does Shedeur become the franchise quarterback of the Browns and win a bunch of games and potentially win playoff games and then win a Super Bowl maybe, or get the Super Bowls? Okay, then you're going to look like an idiot, and everyone will be fired. Okay, that'll probably happen. But until then, we won't know, right? I mean, Shedeur may have flashes as a rookie. I think he's the best quarterback in the room over there. I think that's the case. You're watching the practice film. It looks like the dude, Gabriel. Gabriel is the size. We're talking about people who are average civilian size. Dylan Gabriel is the size of some fifth graders on the AAU circuit. So what are we doing, right? He can throw the ball, but he is a small human being. That is a small man. And so I just don't know that, you can play that guy in the AFC North with J.J. Watt chasing him and, Trey Hendrickson chasing him, and whoever else you want to figure is going to be chasing him in that division, right? Kyle Hamilton, all them dudes. He's going to be in a world of trouble behind that offensive line, and they're a good one, but everyone gets sacked, and the battle of attrition will definitely be nasty on a guy like him in his frame. So yeah, I think Shedeur's going to be fine, and I think the Saints, they made a decision they may regret, but they'll have a chance to self-correct, because the draft lottery has no business being in the NFL. I
think, by the way, for those that's watching and listening, this is why the title of this episode is NBA needs to get rid of the draft lottery. We're not going to do the 4 different, summary of the title and everything that we talked about. This is just a simple one this episode. It's been one of those Dave Chappelle type of episodes where it just all comes around full circle. And ending off the show, you talk about the Saints might be laughed at, if they don't have a good season this year. Shedeur does well. Another person, Saquon started off his tweet laughing. LOL. Some people really upset because I played golf and flew to the White House with the president. Maybe I just respect the office. Not a hard concept to understand. I just golfed with Obama not too long ago and look forward to finishing my round with Trump. Now get out of my mentions with politics. Have an amazing day. And it's been reported that he is supposed to. He's in talks with doing a stream, a collaboration with none other than Adin Ross. When we hear these things like this, we always have that discussion of being able to separate the art from the artist, separating the politics and the things that somebody may do off the field from the athlete. Is this a point where the respect and the support of Saquon has crossed the line for y'all?
It's Saquon. People are going to cheer for him when he's running the ball if he's scoring touchdowns. That's not in question. He's going to be cheered on. They're going to love him on Sundays as long as he's performing. This is not about that. It's really about your legacy when you're done playing football, and that's something that's hard to fix and hard to undo. Right? These things don't leave people's brains. All right, half a team, the Eagles team, didn't go to the White House. Jalen Hurts did not go. Right? Had a schedule conflict. Right? We know what the conflict was. He wasn't doing it. And so that's one thing. That's one thing. Let's push that to the side. That's one thing. Doing a stream with Adin Ross shortly after Adin Ross goes on his stream a few days ago and calls Doechii every name under the sun. A woman, a black woman. He calls her every name under the sun. And it was a tirade that made no sense. We don't know the history. We don't know why he attacked her. He said she was untalented. He called her every B word imaginable. He literally called everything but a dog. It was unbelievable. I heard the audio myself. Wow, this is available for everyone to listen to. For you to go to suddenly then to have a leak about you going on his stream after that happens, that's just, we can all be honest here. This ain't about politics, nothing like that. Because I ain't got to get into that with nobody. I'm not even going to do it. But that is a bad decision. It is a horrible decision by a man who clearly is not very intelligent, because it doesn't make any sense. Or you're just unaware of what's going on around you. You don't care, and it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your pockets, because Adin Ross is going to be under some serious fire here. It's not going to go. That's not going to go easy here. That whole Doechii thing and talking about it that way. Something bad is going to happen with Adin Ross, and it's going to be around women and the way he treats women. Because you can go on your stream and talk about a woman that way, and you are talking to all these influential young kids who listen to your stuff, who will jump off a bridge for you, and you're talking about women that way, and you're impacting kids that way, and making them think it's okay to talk about women that way and treat women that way. Don't think for a second that he has some skeletons in his closet that's coming out, and now you're going to put your name next to that guy and sit down with him on a stream. And I had the same problem with Drake doing it. I said it in the group chat with you guys. I said it really pisses me off that he sits down with this guy. And you know what? The music's great. The fine. I get that. But he might just be a jerk. Okay? He might just be a bad dude to sit down with that guy. There are certain people, good people, don't try to interact with. We as 3 good people in here, we understand that. The people you ain't going to sit down across from in real life. You're not doing it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So for Saquon to sit there and make that decision, it says a lot about him. And he's aging like he's really going to age like spoiled milk here as his career starts to wind. And Eagles fans, for as much trash I talk about them, they're very socially conscious people. You know, being in Philadelphia, a big city, that's a blue city. All right, they're very upset. They're killing them right now. And so, granted, when he runs that ball into the end zone and he's scoring and everything like that, they'll cheer for him. but they're never going to forget these moments. And he's not going to live these moments down. They're going to live forever in infamy, especially the whole visit to the White House, because ain't nobody else do that much. Just remember that. Ain't nobody else on that team did that much. There may be guys from the Eagles that voted for Trump who didn't do that much. Just remember that part. So it really doesn't look good, no matter how you split it. But again, he's making some bad choices that are really going to hurt him, and they're going to affect his pockets too. Because corporations are going to separate themselves from Adin Ross and eventually Donald Trump. Just call a spade a spade. They're going to separate themselves. They're not going to want anything to do with that. If you got that smell on you, they don't want you around. So he really has to do some thinking. He needs to hire a publicist, someone who's smarter than him, which shouldn't be hard to find. Just about anybody, even his daughter. And he needs to make better decisions. Seriously, he's making a series of bad decisions. But this Adin Ross one, I don't care where you stand politically. I don't care where you stand. That is ridiculous. And it's just no self-awareness on what's going on around you. And that can sink him. It's a really bad decision. It's just, and he's going to go through with it too. That's the crazy part. He's not reversing course on this. It's going to happen, that stream. So, hey, I'm glad he's not on my team.
Hey, real quick, and we can end off with this, right? We've all played sports at the high school level, the collegiate level. For y'all, if you had a teammate that did the Trump situation and now hopping on this stream at some point with Adin Ross, do you think if that was your teammate, that would affect the chemistry, that would affect how you rock with him on the field? Or would it be a situation where it's like, all right, I could separate him being Saquon off the field, and when we come into the locker room, we go to war together?
Does race have anything to do with it? Because I feel like if it's a white teammate, I mean, I'm not saying I guess I'm expecting less than I would have like my black teammate, like Saquon. If like you see Jalen Hurts opted to not go because he's not going to be somewhere he's not comfortable. Sure, he said scheduling conflict, but he didn't want to go. He's not there for the publicity stunt. Meanwhile, Saquon, all in the publicity stunts for Trump and allegedly Adin Ross coming up. It just reminds me of Kanye from years ago when he put that red hat on and taking pictures with Trump. And he was, oh, he used me. It's like, yes, you idiot. He did use you. Like, he used you for your popularity, for the people that know you, the people that like you, to make him more likable. Like, that's the only reason that you would do something like that. And for him to be a pawn like that, and if I had a teammate like that, I couldn't rock with him on the outside as much as I did previously. Like, if they hadn't won the Super Bowl, maybe you wouldn't see any of these pictures with Trump. Like, he's not just going to find Trump and play golf somewhere. Maybe he would if that's his chosen leader of the free world. But, I mean, yeah, Saquon, as one of the prominent black athletes in the NFL, for him to kind of be buddy-buddy with Trump like that, it does put a foul taste in your mouth. Because none of them other guys are doing that. I'm sure there's black Republicans, but a guy like that who he's with the culture, he's down for the people, got the hoop earrings in, he's got the kicks. All these young black kids look up to you, and then you do something like this. I mean, you try not to make it a bigger deal than it is, but it is a big deal. When, I mean, LeBron, he's not shaking hands with these guys. Like, all these other famous black athletes aren't going to go to the White House to kiss ass to Trump. And I mean, you going on Air Force One with him, playing golf with him, and then doubling down and saying like, oh, I just played with the black president a couple weeks ago. Like, nah, brother, you can't do that. You can't use Barack Obama to justify doing what you did with Donald Trump. So, sure, like, it's a brotherhood in the locker room. I'm sure on the field, It is what it is. They'll go to bat for him, and that's how it is. But outside of football, I mean, these guys are going to look at him a lot differently than they did previously.
NFL players are the worst example to use for this situation because they don't stand for anything. They don't even stand for themselves. These negotiations, they get screwed every single time during the CBA and all this nonsense. So why would they all of a sudden take a stand against Saquon Barkley and be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm rocking with him? And it does a disservice to humans because humans are complicated. Saquon Barkley, it seems like a nice guy you can get along with. So you're not going to look at him. It's not front facing. You're not going to always have that in the top of your mind. And when he's treating you well, you're not going to go treat him badly, right? With that in mind, he's never done anything to you directly. So they're going to be able to work together and keep it professional regardless. But there are some people who are very principled about this kind of stuff who will never look at him the same. And you got to think about the fact that we're in unprecedented times with Trump as it is as a president, and the way that people feel about him is it's bigger than politics. It's not really politics anymore. He's affecting people's lives negatively every day. It's hurting people. So they're not going to forget that you were smiling with that guy. That's the wrong one. You see, it'd be about politics if you were talking about George Bush. All right, fine. That's policy. That's going to war when people don't want to go to war. That's different. This is a lot different. This is separating families, putting people in detention centers. People don't want to leave the country because they're getting stopped up by immigration and all that stuff. People's lives are getting ruined, right? He's ignoring the Supreme Court, telling him to bring people home. We ain't got to go there. Point is that guy is messing people's lives up, and you just took an opportunity to smile with that guy, eat dinner with that guy, play with his kids, be all buddy, shuck and jive. Okay, you are never going to live that down. It's going to follow you forever. We're always going to talk about it, just because like someday in a textbook we're going to be talking about this time where Trump is president. It's when we're old and gray, we're going to be talking about it, and Saquon's name will be attached to it. We talk about sports and the intersection between sports and politics and sports and government forever. And that is not the way you want your name to be remembered. And a guy who talked about legacy as much as he did with the Giants, you think he'd understand that, but he doesn't because he's stupid. Just being honest, because if you don't think he's stupid for the Trump thing, that's fine. But he's sure as hell stupid for the Adin Ross thing. So he doubling down on stupid. That's all I'm saying. And it's crazy to me because it's just a bad business decision.
Yeah, so I was about to say that, like, we all know that he's not the only person. We don't know if he voted for him or not, but he's not the only person in the NFL, only black athlete in the NFL that probably voted for him or have a good viewpoint of him. But there aren't many black athletes that are doing that, what he did. Not many black athletes, even if they rock with Adin Ross, not doing a stream with him. It's that old saying of you want to be on the right side of history. If you cool with owning that, and when you look back at 20 years from now and so forth, even if you didn't vote for him, it's the optics and how it looks. It's the perception. Hey, I don't think it was the smartest decision. I don't think it's the smartest route. And my concern, looking at it just on the sports side too, I can't see where it doesn't affect the chemistry at some point this season in Philly. They have a couple of losses. I mean, we'll talk about it in a couple episodes. They start off the year. That's a pretty tough schedule that they have to start off the year. They could be looking at a 1-4 start. Saquon had a couple bad games. They might turn. Because like Greg said, as long as you performing, that always covers and fixes everything. You performing, we could look past this. I totally forgot that you shot somebody, especially in NFL. I totally forgot you was at the Diddy freak-offs. I completely forgot. You just scored 3 touchdowns. Shoot.
Think about how crazy the situation is. They just won a championship and they're bashing him. His own fans are bashing him. This is unprecedented stuff he's playing with. He's playing with fire. And then they're digging up his history, talking about his wife saying the N-word in the past, whatever. You see, like, it gets ugly. It gets real ugly. Like, he just isn't thinking. He's not. And maybe he was never smart to begin with. Like, we don't know these people. We don't know them. They wear a helmet and they run into each other at full speed. They to do that, you might not be that smart. To be honest, it's a pretty stupid thing to do in concept. So this is just a series of bad decisions, and I actually feel bad for him in all seriousness. I know I actually do, like, because ignorance is bliss, but it's going to be an immediate payoff for this. Like, he's gonna feel this if he goes through a little rut in Philly and he doesn't play well in Philadelphia. If he goes through, they're going to bring this up. It's going to happen, and so I hope he's ready for what comes with the decisions he's making. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Eagles fans, they stay ready, so they don't gotta get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.